So welcome to Mindset Monday. It's Tuesday, but you know what? I'm not a perfectionist, so we make our schedules work the way we need to, right? My name's Denise, Zack. I am a life coach, and I work with Game Plan U, but I also have this podcast which kind of dives into the 6 inches in between your ears. I talk with a lot of people who are successful, doing amazing things out in the world, but really want to talk to them about their journey, how they're living life, the thoughts and strategies that they have for being successful in life. And so today I am here with John Tull from Florida. John and I met a while back, right? We met, I think, a couple months ago. Yep. And we've just kind of stayed in contact. We kind of follow each other on LinkedIn and kind of checking in on each other and all that we're doing. But you know, you've got this really cool thing going on right now that we're going to dive into in a little bit. But first, I would love to just kind of hear about who you are, what you do. I know you're in the sports world and doing a lot of really cool things there. So welcome.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's great to see you again. And yeah, like you were saying, we just sort of connected. I mean, that's, if anything, this pandemic has allowed so many of us to connect with some new people, some new friends, some new contacts. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. I mean, my background's pretty simple. I mean, I'm a sports marketing guy my whole career. You know, I'm originally from South Bend, Indiana, and I've worked in sports my entire career, from operating minor league baseball and hockey teams, you know, minor league hockey, minor league baseball, arena football too, minor league soccer. And, you know, when you operate as the president or CEO of one of those teams, you wear a lot of hats. And so I learned a lot. And I ended up transitioning into college sports back in 2009. So since 2009, I've been selling sports marketing partnerships at the collegiate level, dating back to 2009, where I was at Penn State for 6 years, then Pitt, Michigan State for 4 years, and I just moved to Gainesville last January to sell Florida Gators partnerships for Gator Sports Properties. And it's really simple, Denise. What we do in a nutshell is we connect fans with brands and brands with fans. That's what we do. We connect brands with fans and fans with brands. So people that need to, you know, connect to their brand and messaging, you know, with that multi-generational college audience, that's what we do. You know, we're not the perfect fit for everybody, but yeah, we secure partnerships for companies of all shapes and sizes who want to, you know, use the Florida Gators, you know, assets and brands and programming to, you know, increase their sales, their brand awareness, their profitability, et cetera. So that's what I do. I love doing it. So
yeah, that's awesome. How has the pandemic impacted that ability, right? So you've got, I think before it was probably a lot easier because you had fans coming to the games, tailgating inside the stadium, outside the stadium. And then obviously there's marketing and advertising outside of that. But how has the pandemic impacted all of that, and how have you all kind of pivoted?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a really good question. And I know there's lots of different ways to look at it, but one of the ways I look at it is we've been able to, we've had to pause a little bit, right? Because we've had to cancel some of our sports in the spring and then delay the start of football season. So I've been able to, I think, become personally and professionally a better listener. Do you know what I mean? Because we've lost some clients, and but it was because we're all in the same storm. You know, it's a pandemic and everybody's going through all this stuff. And so I just, you know, we've all had to pivot a certain way. Like, how do we approach, you know, a partnership with no fans at certain games? And how do we talk to clients who maybe their business isn't going well? So it's definitely been a big transitional situation for me in a really good way in terms of transforming myself into a better listener. I have more empathy. I mean, I've always had those traits, but I've learned to really, you know, kind of analyze everybody else's situations and the shoes that they're walking in, so I can better understand like what I'm trying to sell them and what I'm trying to do for them, because it's been a challenge for a lot of people. And I'm getting to know a lot of people, just like right now on these Zoom calls or these podcasts. But I mean, I meet with a lot of people that maybe, and learning a lot about them that I maybe couldn't learn before, because, you know, when everything was normal, you know, everybody's busy. They've got too many appointments on Friday. They can't come to the game on Saturday. So they're just going to, you know, call you. But now I'm getting closer to my clients, closer to my prospects, and figuring out new assets to sell in this new this new age of what we're doing here. And so, it's definitely been a challenge, but I think a lot of us are trying to come out of it as best we can by working together and staying focused.
Yeah. No, I think that's, it's just the thing that we've had to do, right? Everyone has had to get creative. We didn't have a choice whether we pivoted or not. It was just how well we were going to do it, right? Some people.
Yeah, that's so true because, I tell people, at first everybody said, well, we're all in the same boat. Well, we're not all in the same boat. Like we're in the same storm,
right?
But we're all in different boats cruising in the storm. And some of us are in big boats and some of us are in smaller boats and some of us have more supplies than others. And yes, it's the same storm, but it's allowing us all to experience the same storm while we, experience it in different ways. But that's been okay because in a lot of ways, we are all in this together in terms of how we endure the storm, how we ride out the storm, how we get better and how we survive the storm. So a lot of people you see a lot of people just helping each other out that maybe never would have connected ever or talked to each other ever. And I think that's really cool to see people come together like that. So
absolutely. And I think that there has been a lot of opportunity for empathy and compassion. And unfortunately, the media doesn't focus enough on that. You hear it every once in a while, but they're more focused on other things that we're not going to get into today. But the reality is that a lot of times, I think a lot more often that we don't see enough of is the fact that people are reaching out more. They are trying to help out more. And in addition to that, I think that because we've all kind of gotten off the hamster wheel of life, because we were forced to get off of it in a lot of ways, it's given us an opportunity to be a little bit more reflective about ourselves, which is a good segue to what I wanted to really dive into today with you was, you started posting, 6-8 months ago about this transformation and this video kind of chronicling of this transformation. And I've watched it. You've talked every few days, once a week or however often it was varied, but a different video about your mindset, about how you're showing up to your day, about what's going on for you, about what you struggle with, about what your goals are. And so I was just really intrigued by that. And it seemed like you were getting more energy every time you were making a video. So I'd love to hear how that started. What was it like? When did the switch get flipped and what was that like for you?
No, I really appreciate you asking because it just seems like forever ago that it started, but then it also seems like just the other day. And really, Florida is playing Florida State in baseball. We're ranked #1 in the country. And I'm working that last game and I'm having fun. I'm taking pictures. I take pictures and videos of all my stuff, the mascots, the signage, etc. And that was like early March 8th or 9th. And then all of a sudden, the whole world shuts down. The NCAA, the SEC tournament gets canceled. The NCAA tournament gets canceled. And truthfully, my industry, we knew. We were all sitting there like, not shaking, but just very stressed out. Like, what's going to happen? If we don't play games and we don't have revenue and hopefully we can all make it through it. And so I got a little stressed out at first, and I just looked in the mirror and I said, man, I got to do something about this because I've always been a big believer in like positive thinking and self-motivation, but sometimes you just got to start it, right? So the pandemic and the lockdown just kickstarted me into the mirror of looking at myself and saying, and everybody kind of goes through this sometimes, but I'm not happy with, maybe I've gained some weight, since I got to Florida and I've never been as heavy as I was on March 15th. I thought, man, what's going on? I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I'm thinking. So I started running in the morning and just running a couple miles a day because I used to do that a lot. And then I thought, well, I have my phone with me. I'm listening to music and I'm listening to podcasts. And I have all these thoughts going through my head about how I can stay positive and stay focused and how I've always believed in that. So I just started one day back in March, like taking a short video of myself. When I say myself, yes, I wanted to, for self-affirmation purposes, like just talk into the camera and say, this is what I think about, positive mental attitude, or this is what I think about perseverance or integrity. And I pick a different word, Denise, on every run and I wanted to talk to myself about that because it wasn't about like, this is what I believe all the time. It's about what I should be believing in. It's about what makes me, motivated, what keeps me positive. I look at those videos all the time and remember how I thought. And then I thought I'd start sharing them because like I don't know how to say it, but I'm thinking, I don't care how I looked. I'm all sweaty. I'm running. And it's the pandemic. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like my slogan is share the good stuff. It's free. And I just started thinking we all just need to share more good stuff.
Yeah.
Because, A, it's free. When you share negative stuff, it costs you. You pay a price for being negative.
Yeah.
I started doing that though. And honestly, I started charting each day, just what was my thought? What am I talking about today? Am I talking about adversity? Am I talking about teamwork? And it just really helped me like focus on going on that next run. I'm going to go on another run and I want to get it up to 2.5 miles or 3 miles. And every few weeks I weigh myself and I was eating better and I was losing a few pounds. And then I start thinking to myself, what's another word that motivates me? What's a word that motivates me when I used to be, the president or CEO of a team, when I was in that, 100% leadership role? What do good leaders think about stuff like this? How do you become a good leader coming out of the pandemic, or what should you do? So for me, it was all about just focusing on all these positive thoughts that I could put on video and watch again for myself. I have, I think I might have shared a list with you, but I have 100 or so of those. And I've only been putting them on, I put them on once a week, the weekend pep talk on Saturday mornings. And occasionally I run another one, but I have all these other ones in the can that I just keep looking at to remind myself what I was thinking, like, because this is as old as the hills, what I'm going to tell you. And I don't have to tell you because you're a professional. It's, I have to look in the mirror and like, be the best me, be the best person I can be the best leader that I can be, lead myself first before I can lead anybody else. And before I can be positive, before I can, be successful, I have to make sure that I'm happy with myself. And that's a struggle. We all have that struggle at work, at home. But every day, those are the things that I go through when I go on those runs. So.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, you did share that list with me, and it was really cool to kind of look down the list and see all of the words, just individual word, mindset or go Gators or perseverance or whatever it was, attitude and all of these things that were just running through your mind as you were running, right? And it's interesting because I think that people find inspiration in different ways at different times for different reasons, based on where you're at, based on what you're dealing with, and based on, what's going on for you in those moments. So, do you feel like, was there ever a time when you were doing it, or are there times even still now where you feel like it gets really hard, or you feel like it's hard to keep that motivation or that momentum up? Because I think motivational momentum are a very challenging thing to keep up on a regular basis. I'm just curious about.
Yeah, I do at times, and it's interesting. I read somewhere recently where somebody was, kind of making fun of like sports cliches or, over the overuse of, cliches. But I'm guilty as charged, right? I'm just all about we are in the 2020 comeback. It's the fourth quarter of the year. I just try to stay, if I feel myself kind of getting down or not motivated, I just keep thinking I'm grateful that I have a job. I'm grateful that I work with some great people. I'm grateful that I have these clients to work with. And I just try to focus on gratitude. And, if I have a bad day, there's, better days to come, and I'm not the only one having a bad day. So it is hard sometimes, but I also know, even from a physical standpoint, like I know that I could go back to eating poorly and, not exercising and, gain that weight right back. So I just, I focus on a couple of things. I focus on my health, because it's important to stay healthy. Yeah. A lot of people, that's been a struggle through the pandemic. You got to stay healthy. And then it's just important to stay focused. To just, take care of yourself. I have a video that I just did that I might share this weekend. I'm not sure, but it talks about doing in our business, you go to a client and you do a needs analysis. Like if I'm trying to sell you a sponsorship, I want to do a needs analysis, a fact find. I want to learn as much about you and your product as possible so I could determine if we're going to be a good fit and what we could do for you. And my thing that I recently did, tell myself on this video, is that like you have to do a needs analysis on yourself. Like look in the mirror and like, what do you need to be successful? What do you need to be happy? What could you change to be the best you? Because you're your best client. You know, you are going to be the best sale that you ever made when you invest the time and energy into making sure you take care of you and then service you, just like I would service a client. And I think sometimes people take that for granted. They just keep going. They don't stop, you know, and so I'm constantly doing that. I think that helps me get through some of the challenges of staying motivated and staying fired up, because we're all getting knocked down over and over again, right? And you know, even with the Gators, you know, we're supposed to play 3 home games in a row, and then we lost 2 games. Now we're going to play those games, you know, cross our fingers. Right. But where my dad was doing better, and now, you know, he got worse, you know, so just have to, you know, cope with things. And I find that continually thinking about those positive, you know, affirmations from my runs really helps me cope. So
yeah. And we were talking a little bit about your dad before, and that process for you. And you posted a really beautiful video online about visiting Notre Dame and really reflecting on the experience that you had. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that and why it was so important for you after visiting with your dad. I know you said you've been to Notre Dame before and you've done that before, but this was a little bit different. It was more intentional. And I was just curious if you could talk a little bit about that, because to be honest, I feel like we don't focus on many times our emotions enough. We don't focus on cultivating support for one another. I think we can do it. We help each other out a lot, but we don't focus on the need for it and the importance of doing it. And we certainly don't foster our own self-care a lot.
Right. And so I mean, I grew up in South Bend, Indiana, and, you know, we would always go up to the campus for football games or with friends. But there's a place called, you know, the Grotto. It's a replica of the one at Lourdes, you know, where there's a bunch of candles and you know, some, you know, religious statues and things like that, and places to pray. And truthfully, that was always a place of peace. You know, you would go to the Grotto to find peace, to light a candle for someone if they're sick. But it really hit home for me this time because my dad's very sick in the hospital. I just had to go get away for a few minutes. I went there, and I mean, I literally was, I had not had a good cry, and I just started crying. And I think that's important too. You know, it's okay to just let go sometimes. And so up there, you know, there's all these candles lit, and, you know, sometimes you can go through the motions and light a candle, but this one really meant something to me because I got this brand new candle and I put it in the upper left-hand corner. It was kind of like in my mind, a cornerstone candle to remind me of my dad. He's the cornerstone of our family's foundation. And I saw all these other candles burning, and I told myself, I want to get a video of my candle so I can go back and reflect on it. And then once I saw the video, I saw all these candles burning, and I started thinking, man, every one of those candles represents, you know, someone's, you know, thoughts, their grief, their worry, their anxiety. You know, they're lighting it for somebody, and it just made me think. Like, I think we all probably have that special place that we can go where we want to light a candle and watch it burn for us, you know, to help us out and to help our emotional state and to really, you know, help us cope with things. And that's kind of what I did, and it really helped me out, you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful story. It was a beautiful video, and I'm glad that your dad is out of the hospital and doing a bit better and comfortable.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. He's hanging in there. So
yeah, that's awesome. You know, it is. It's hard. It's hard to watch someone that we love suffer. And I think you said something really important in terms of being willing and letting yourself kind of cry when you need to, or let go in those moments when you have incredible stress. I mean, that tears are the body's way of releasing stress. We have them for a reason. So, and men are not encouraged to cry in our society. It's one of those things, you're not supposed to do it. Come on, be a man, suck it up, you know, get through it. Just, you know, come on, keep going. And you're, what I'm hearing you say is that you need to do that. It's important.
Well, yeah, you do. And you know, true story, when I was there and I was pausing and I, you know, just was having a good cry, and I looked around. I mean, there's like 2 or 3 other people doing the same thing. A couple of guys, this woman. I mean, everybody was there for their own reason, right? To find some peace somehow, some way, and pause. And I think it shows you we all need to kind of like pause. We all need to reflect. We all need to just take a time out once in a while and figure out where that time out should be. That's a good place, you know. And for me, that was a really good place. So I look at that video almost every day now, you know. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful message. And everybody does need to do that. They need to take time. They need to, you know, step back and give themselves an opportunity to work through things. And you talked about a couple of other things before too. You talked about gratitude, right? And practicing gratitude on a regular basis, and that also being a strategy for you. So in addition to being reflective, and going on your runs and looking for, a word of the day that kind of motivates you and keeps you going, you're also someone who focuses on gratitude. And one of the things that I've known and, learned in the research that I've done over the years is you can't reflect and think about something that really brings you gratitude and happiness and be upset at the same time. It's usually, when you start to think about that gratitude, it just operates in a different way and brings you to a different place. I was just curious if you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, there's so many things to have gratitude for, just in terms of, the sun coming up in the morning, that's great. You can have gratitude, you can be thankful that there's another day, but all the positives always, outweigh the negatives. I mean, it's just really easy to get nailed down in your head, with negative stuff all the time, in terms of some of the stuff going on in the world, stuff you see on TV. But, gratitude can be very soothing. It can just be very, healing to just have gratitude, like to be thankful. Sometimes I don't think we do or have enough gratitude, and sometimes we don't say thanks enough. And other times, conversely, we don't accept thanks really well, right? I mean, someone else might be trying to express their gratitude, and sometimes we get caught up and stumble on that as well. So it's a two-way street. I mean, but yeah, that's huge for me, just to have gratitude. I mean, just to have thanks and be thankful for some of the things that you have, because you can only control so much. And a lot of things are out of our control. And I just, that was a big word for me. I love talking about that, and forgiveness too. It's kind of, somewhat similar in terms of just my mindset of, being able to accept forgiveness and being able to give, forgiveness. That's a two-way street that is really powerful for me as well. So.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that they're similar, but they're also really, really different.
Right.
Forgiveness is about letting go, right? And
right.
And you don't have to forgive someone for them. A lot of times it's important to forgive someone just for your own freedom and your own kind of letting go of harboring anger and resentment and things like that. And in many instances, it also can be for the other person as well. But then you said something really important in terms of like forgiving yourself, right? I mean, we all
right.
make mistakes, we all mess up, we all, do things that we wish we didn't do. But it's so much better to say, okay, you know what, I screwed up and I did my best. And in that moment, I wasn't my best, but I'm going to, try to make amends for it, apologize if I need to, and then move on and not continue to beat myself up for it, so that, it continues to stick with you and harbor feelings of shame, which is really unhealthy.
No, it is. I mean, sometimes our biggest enemy, is right in our mirror. When you look in there, it's like you're fighting with yourself, and you have to let go sometimes. And I just, that's so important. And just even, you talk about gratitude, even just the gratitude of somebody forgiving you. Like you're thankful that somebody has actually let you go, or forgiven you for something. So, I mean, there's just so many thoughts that you can go through your head that you can focus on that just make you a better person, whether that's, making sure that you have gratitude for things that you can be thankful for on a daily basis that make you a better person, so you can be the best you and go out and be the best you with your family, your friends, your coworkers. I'm a big fan, like you don't have to have all the money in the world or all the titles in the world to be a leader. Like you have to be the best you and the best leader of one first. Lead yourself, and then you can lead others. But if you don't, take care of you, then how are you going to follow yourself? You have to be your best client,
Right.
And so all that stuff. I mean, I know I kind of jump around a little bit, but to me, it all goes into this big funnel of just taking care of you. Like you said, the 6 inches between your ears, right?
Yep. That 6 inches between your ears is the person you see in the mirror, right?
Right.
You're right. We can become our own worst enemy. We get in our own way. And if we can focus in here and understand how we are sabotaging ourselves or, creating self-fulfilling prophecies, then we can enact some change, because we can say, hey, wait a minute, I'm doing poorly because I'm thinking poorly. And when I think poorly and I believe poorly about myself, I feel poorly, right? Everything you believe becomes a thought, and then your thoughts impact your emotions, which impact your assumptions and your expectations, and ultimately your behavior. So if we
Right.
can go back to those beliefs, look
Yeah.
at them.
Another the sports analogies, which, I love, and somebody was giving me a hard time for recently, but is the whole mental aspects of sports, right? Where, they always say you have to have a short memory. Oh, hey, the guy fumbled the punt. He has to have a short memory because he's back there receiving that punt again, or, whatever. I mean, you made a mistake. You have to have a short memory. Like, that goes for you too. Like, we're all going to make mistakes. None of us are perfect. But if you beat yourself up over every single solitary bad thing that you think you've ever done, you're never going to come out of it. And so my thing is like, hey, you know what? I don't want to call it small stuff, but man, there's so many great things going on in your world, that you have to push that stuff aside and concentrate on your strengths and not worry about some of the things that maybe you weren't good at, or some things that happened to you that you think you're weak for, but just let it go, and move on. So
yeah, absolutely. And then, sometimes people have a really hard time letting go, right? They have a hard time letting go of old beliefs or old thoughts that just think, become ingrained, because the more we practice something and say it over and over again, the more we believe it to be true. And so sometimes it can be really, really hard to let go of that old stuff. And I think that's where mindfulness and regular gratitude practice and kind of observing, how you operate in the world and being self-aware can be really, really helpful, because you can kind of catch yourself when those old thoughts or when those old beliefs are coming up and say, okay, hold on a minute. How many more years am I going to be doing this to myself? Or how much longer do I want to punish myself with this? Is it possible that that's not true? Or is it possible that I can shift this or change and do something different?
Right. Well, and the thing is, it's amazing. We're all very sensitive by nature, right? So I think all of us have like little triggers that just set things off, and big ones, little ones, whatever. And self-esteem is huge, right? And by the way, I have all these videos that I did, but like, I am far from. I mean, I try to practice that stuff, but that the reason I do all those videos is because I need to get better at thinking positively with a lot of those emotions, and I need to practice more. So I'm not perfect at all. I just think that, you have to tell yourself, like, no one can tell you that you can't have high self-esteem, because that's how it starts. You have other people controlling your life, and that's human nature too. Insecure people, I think I call them insecure, try to tell others, how they should or should not act. But it just starts with you looking in the mirror. I mean, you are everything to you. You're everything to your family. You're everything to people that you work with. And, self-esteem is a big deal. And there's just, I think, reflection, and for me, running and doing those videos, and just, understanding that, that I can love myself without being cocky. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not about tooting my horn.
Right.
It's about loving myself, because I like who I am. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but you know what? I'm going to keep getting better.
Right. Right.
So.
And not kind of diagnosing or thinking about your worth based on other people's like ideas of you, right? And not saying, oh, I'll be better when this person's proud of me, or if I get to this stage. But okay, I'm imperfect now, and I can accept myself now. I can accept myself with all of my imperfections and be okay with me. And I think that that's a kind of exactly what you're talking about. It's just letting go of having to have everything be perfect and wonderful before you can be okay with yourself.
Right. Because, it's always going to be a lot of work, but it's work that you should do. I mean, when I say work, I just mean that, it doesn't come easy for some people. Like, you might have to change some things up a little bit. I mean, maybe, just look in the mirror and, like I said, take inventory, and what are some things that you could do to make it better for you? I mean, for me, I actually started getting up earlier so I could run and have more of my day ready to go. And I felt, invigorated, and I'm enthused. But before, I was just kind of getting into routine, and, I'd stop off and have a donut or whatever. And, but everybody's got their own little thing. Maybe it's more sleep. Maybe it's less sleep. Maybe it's less social media. Maybe it's, doing videos like I've been doing to express yourself, more true expression. So you can go back and just look at how you sound and how you talk and how you think you sound, because that was the other thing I wanted to see. Like, I think these things, but I believe me, I mean, again, I believe in myself. So I go back and look at those videos because it makes me feel good about it. And again, it's not about cockiness or being on Zoom calls or whatever, but it's about taking care of me so I can be the best me and help take care of others. And I think people are starting to catch on that the pandemic has really done that for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think that reminding yourself is really, 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 really important, because our internal dialogue dictates how we feel, right? Every thought we have leads to the ultimate outcome of our life. And so if you can become aware of how you're talking to yourself and you realize how negative you're being, and then for you, you're thinking, I need to change this. I need to focus on the positive. I need to remind myself of good things. I need to think about what makes me happy. I need to remember gratitude. I need to forgive people. I need to think about what a good leader would do. The more you remind yourself, the more you're practicing new ways of thinking, and the more you're instilling a new kind of operating system. It's like re-engineering your brain in a lot of ways. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's a lot harder in the beginning. But, when you are practicing all of these really, really good, happy thoughts, there's less room for the negativity, and certainly we can get tripped up. But I think, what you've created is this new kind of recording system in your brain of how you want to show up, which is awesome and so inspiring.
No, I appreciate that. And I think everybody can do it. I mean, get back to sports, it's about visualization. I mean, back when I used to play college football, I would visualize, me catching that pass over the middle for the first down, or I'd visualize making the perfect block so my guy could be sprung and run 40 yards for a touchdown. And we would practice all week on, the 2-minute drill, or all week on goal line offense. Literally all week, 30 minutes a day. But sometimes that's great. But then all of a sudden, we look in the mirror. Well, we need to practice on us too. We need to repetition, right? So to your point, there's nothing wrong with that. And the more I practice it, then maybe the more I'll preach it. Because again, I'm not perfect, but it's repetition, and it keeps the negative thoughts out. And that's why I'm always ending stuff. Share the good stuff; it's free. Share the good stuff; it's free. I wasn't always like that. I wasn't always negative, but I might get in fights on Facebook with people about stupid stuff and feel really bad about it. You know what I mean? It was just like, So I just, I got away from that, It's all about being positive.
Yeah, right. Because you can get sucked into that negativity. You turn on the news for 5 seconds and you can feel it. It's like it emanates out from the TV within seconds. And so the same thing can be said for that positivity and all that. You've said is just kind of that nutshell of how you want to show up to your day. What is it that you're going to digest? Not just your food, but what is it that you're going to digest from around you? What are you going to take in? And if you push yourself towards gratitude and forgiveness and all the positive things that we've talked about today that you have been focusing on, then I think you're creating the life that you want to live, giving yourself more energy and allowing yourself the freedom to be able to really just be reflective and grow in such an amazing way. And I think you've been such an inspiration for people on LinkedIn and on Facebook, wherever you're showing. I see it on LinkedIn, but I just want to thank you for doing that, because I don't think there are enough people sharing their story, sharing their truth, sharing their vulnerability, being honest and not worrying about feedback or negativity, though I can't imagine anybody being negative about what you're doing, because it's amazing. But I really want to thank you for that, and thank you for being an inspiration for people, because I don't think there's a lot of it out there, and I think we need more of it. And so I just want to thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you letting me share my story. And one quick point on the candles. The other day, a gentleman I have not seen in 15 years, who's my LinkedIn connection, posted a picture of him lighting a candle at an outdoor church in Southern Florida for my dad, and sent it to me.
Wow.
Because I saw your video and I wanted to touch. My wife and I lit a candle for you and your dad. To me, people have all kinds of ways to connect. So I'm just really happy that I could reconnect with them too, because that was a way to reconnect. So just like you're reconnecting a lot of people with a lot of good things and good thoughts, Denise, I really love your work as well. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so I'm going to put up some contact info for you. This is how people get in touch with you, John Tull Sports Marketing on LinkedIn, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. That would be the best way. And what are you, if you had to give some advice to someone who's struggling right now, who feels like they're a little bit lost, or, isn't necessarily finding their way, what kind of final advice would you give here today? I know you've given amazing advice, so.
Yeah, no, I would just say, go for a walk, down the street, or if you like to run, go for a run or whatever, but just go have some peace somewhere, and just kind of, like I was saying, just do a little inventory about you and all the, great things that you've accomplished for you up to this point, because you have so much to offer, and just take a deep breath, there's going to be another tomorrow, and we have time. We all have time to fix things. We all have time to take care of ourselves. And I think that's another thing. People are always in a hurry. Some people are too afraid to show their emotion. They're always in a hurry. My thing is take a deep breath. If there was ever a time to hit the pause button and try to regroup, it's now, because, you have to be the best that you can be, so you can be the best you to your family, friends, and coworkers. So that's my advice. Just go off somewhere for about, 15, 20 minutes if you have to. Take a deep breath and just, analyze how great you are, as a person. I don't mean great, I'm so great, but just, all the good stuff that you provide in your own world, in your family's world. And you'd be surprised how good it makes you feel,
I love it. That's a perfect way to end. Thank you again, John, so much for being here. Really, really appreciate it. You're an inspiring person, and I look forward to seeing more of your videos as we continue down this road, because the pandemic isn't ending anytime soon.
That's right.
And I want to thank everybody for watching in today, or for whenever you tune in. Really appreciate it. If you want to get in touch with me, this is my website here, and you can contact me at Denise@gameplanu.org. If you like this podcast and you want to see more, click the subscribe button below, and look forward to seeing you all again next week. Take care, John. Great to see you.
Thanks, Denise. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.